So in part 2 of this little demonstration, we are going to look at a particular learning object called a wiki, which is a relatively recent addition to the tools available within ILIAS. And we start again on my personal desktop. There is a link called the BA and BIS course wiki, which indicates that this wiki is not for one, but for 2 courses. And I have put it into a different location, namely in the general portal for lecturers, and defined a course whose members are the students from both courses. So this wiki looks pretty much like other wikis that you might know from the internet. It contains on the right hand side a navigation pane which brings you back to the start page, some general information, settings. You can see all the pages created, the recent changes, the new pages and so on, and the contributors, whoever wrote an article. And it's basically a flat structure to put articles in. But unlike the forum, the news forum that we saw in part 1, there's no given hierarchy, so there's no discussion thread to follow. Instead, you have to create the entire structure yourself. The advantage and the difference to this structure is that the students can write anything that they want in this wiki. So, including on the start page, anybody could provide a new topic. I've provided a few simple sections. Section 1 is called music. This is really just for fun. It was an offering for the students to tell the rest of the class what music they like. For example, Patrick likes Die Rockwilder and the Rolling Stones, and these links go to YouTube clips where you can listen to his music. Every page on the wiki provides the possibility to make private notes or to make public comments. In this case, I've given a private public comment on Patrick's choice, and it also provides the opportunity to rate individual pages. You can rate anywhere from 0 to 5 stars, and the rating afterwards will show how many users rated this page. So in this case, let's say I like this page very much. I give it another star, and you can see that the rating for all users increased by 1 star. So now how about the serious use of the wiki? Let's go back to the start page and let's look at another section which is called sessions. And in this section, pages were created by myself accompanying individual sessions. In some cases, the sessions dealt with exercises, and the students used the wiki to record results that they achieved during the exercises. In some cases, I simply annotate, sometimes during the lecture, what I've said. For example, because there's a certain discussion or a certain set of issues or key terms that I did not deal with on the slides or in the rest of the class, then this is a useful place to put them. There's a session here called Digital Enterprises 2. If I click on it, I get to the corresponding page, and here I simply wrote down what I put on the whiteboard on that day, and as a miscellaneous topic I taught the students about Ludwig von Ahn, a professor at Carnegie Mellon University, and a particular IT item, and this link goes outside of the wiki to Carnegie Mellon where they can get more information. If we go back to the start page, let's go back into sessions again because there was something else I wanted to show you. Here's a group exercise from the very first session of the course on the new e-reading device from Amazon called the Kindle. And in this group exercise, I set out certain questions which the students were asked to respond to while and after listening to an online interview with Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon. And then the groups had a few minutes time to discuss these questions and put their answers into a group page. So all they did here was record the results of their discussion. The advantage obviously being that later on we could look at these pages and look at the totality of the responses the students had found. This particular concept can be pushed a little further, as we see in a later exercise. Here's an exercise called Software Development Practice. The purpose of this exercise was to split the students in two groups. One group would be the customers, another group would be the developers, and both customers and developers would work in different teams, and a customer team would talk to a developer team. Afterwards, the groups would swatch. And the purpose was to identify what was going on the side of the customers, what was going on the side of the developers, and record again the results of the students. So after a relatively complicated set of instructions for what to do, the students were given tables, and each team was given a table, and the task was to fill in these tables. So this is the table that you see after the students completed their work, first for the customers and then at the bottom for the developers. So once again, once the exercise is finished, we could look at the results online, and in this case, because it was a more interesting topic, the students can also go back and check in with the results at any time. And coming back to the start page again, let's take a look at two more examples. First of all, the projects page. In this course, on both courses, the students were split in teams, and each team was working on a project for the length of the term. This page contains a few documents which I put in order to teach the students the basics of project management. It contains a schedule, which I could change at any time to indicate when each of the project teams would meet with me for project coaching. And to go back to the project page, it also contained links which the students themselves put in to the project summary. So each team would be given a space here, and they would put in a summary, like in this case, they put in the group members, the expose, the topic, and a rough structure just at the beginning of the project. We will hear in part 3, when I talk about learning modules, a little more about the work of these project teams. For now, let's go back to the start page. And as a last use of the wiki, let's take a look at presentations. There are no presentations in the wiki itself, but what you see here is a table, a very large table of all the different short and final presentations that the students gave in the course of the semester. And the advantage for the students is that they can schedule their own presentation, and secondly, that if they want to, they can put in a link to the presentation as soon as it's on ILIAS, or in fact on any other server. So from this table of projects and project presentations, you can immediately get to the actual item. So this concludes our very short tour of the wiki. To summarize, the wiki is a very useful environment if you want to annotate sessions, teaching sessions as you go. And it's a very useful environment to collaboratively work on documents, whether they are documents for time management, whether they are individual documents of content. The advantage is that anybody who has access to the wiki, right access to the wiki, can annotate these documents, and so it's a very quick way to get to fairly good results.